What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, BTC USD. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, you guys. It is the 14th day of September, and here we are at about $115.5 thousand, just below there. 9 hours, 25 minutes left in the day on this Sunday. The weekend is not going as originally intended. We thought that it would be a green, or I thought that it would be a green weekend, but here we are just being kind of stagnant, and that's okay. I still very much believe that we have higher prices to go before we see any kind of correction. We are just kind of stagnant right now, but it is the weekend, so I think that's pretty normal. As early as tomorrow, we should be moving back up, and I would think that we continue at least to 117.5 to 118.7K, somewhere in that zone, if not higher, before we see a more notable correction, right? Maybe the next correction only lasts 2 days like this moment here, but it'll have a more significant kind of drawback. It's very possible that we do run up to 120K to 122K. If we look at our liquidation levels on Bitcoin over the past, let's do the past 30 days. There are a lot of shorts that get liquidated. Basically, this whole island of shorts gets liquidated right here at about $121,000, $120,000. So going up to that area where the 786, 886 is, it's very possible. And we've seen that happen actually a lot throughout this range. We've seen it where Bitcoin will just run right through its golden ratio and hit the 786. I'd go through every example that we have. Not every single instance is one of those examples, but there's probably like 5 or 6 of those examples where you just run right through the golden ratio to the 786, specifically the 786, since this high here in July. So with that, just understand that we very well could go all the way up to about $120.4 thousand, if not at least $117.5 thousand. Okay, something around there. Right now, holding up at this 0.5, I think that that's a good look right there, just holding support here, but time will tell. Let's look at the short-term time frames, and then we'll zoom back out to the daily and see where we're going, all right? 1 hour time frame here. A little bit of a bearish look on that 1 hour time frame. We're getting some volume coming in here. We do have the FOMC meeting coming up in just a few days now. Literally 3 days from now. It is the 14th, so on the 17th there. I would expect that we pump going into that day, and then we probably dump after or on that day. And when I say dump, I just mean a little shakeout, a little pause, a little reprieve after this nice movement up that we've had. If we're looking at this on the 1 hour aspect, the RSI, it looks momentarily bearish right now. More bullish overall, way more bullish. And you are at this area where you found support before, where you found support before, where you found support before. After each of these downtrends, you found support down here. You're looking like you want to find support now. I mean, you're getting the volume coming in, and that's all you got. It's just to push you to where this low is. I don't know if we're going to go too much lower. Maybe by the end of the day, we do start to move up. You know, I've noticed over the past few days, it's this hour specifically. This is it the 14th hour? Yeah, this 14th hour tends to be a point where we turn things around and we come back up, right? That's like the low of the day. Not that always happens. I've just noticed it. I don't know if you've noticed it too, but over the past like 3 days specifically, if not past 4 days, and maybe it's been longer than that, but on the 14th hour, hell, let's just do it real quick. Let's just see. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. Make sure that I'm not crazy here. Maybe I'm just seeing what I want to see. Let's go back to the 14th hour yesterday. So right there's the 14th hour. So not on this hour, but 2 hours later, then we turn things around, right? Right on this hour here, we were coming down going into this, and then we actually started coming up. And maybe we started coming up even a little bit before then. Not so much on this one. So just the last 2 days, not the last 3 days or 4 days. Here we started turning things around, but to the downside. Here we started turning things around, but to the upside. Here we started turning things around, but to the downside. Here just more neutral, not really much. It's not perfect, but I've noticed it. Maybe it's not as consistent as I thought it was previously, but still, sometimes just around this time of day, I think it's, you know, whenever America's waking up, whenever the West is waking up, there's some plays being made, maybe from the West or maybe from the East in order to mess with the West or vice versa. You know, who knows? Difference of opinions. But whenever the West is waking up, it seems like there's a little bit of a change as far as which direction we're going. But I'm talking about things too much. Let's actually get back to the TA, okay? Stochastics look a little bit bearish. The MACD overall is bullish, and you are actually right at an area that I expect you to find support at. If you cross below the zero, that could promote lower prices. I think you're going to hold this area. You know, maybe you see a slightly lower low than this. Maybe you don't. I think you're going to hold this area. The lowest I'd give you is like prices just below $115,000, but I don't think we go too much lower. I'm getting more signals that we're going to bounce here than, and it's a bit preemptive to say that, but we're just in comparison to what we've done in recent history. I'm getting more signals that we're going to bounce here rather than proceed too much lower. We're at $115.3 thousand now. We absolutely could go a little bit lower from here, but I doubt by the time most of you watch this, I doubt we're below 115K. Or if we are, it'd be very short-lived. We should start to turn around from there. Looking at the 4-hour time frame here, looking at the RSI, same kind of concept here, right? We are at this point where we have higher lows, higher highs in this uptrend here. It's not perfect, right? But if we kind of go for a line of best fit, there's some outliers to the downside, to the upside. It's a pretty parallel channel. We could go a little bit lower. That's okay if we go a little bit lower. We don't have to find support directly at this line. We didn't here. We didn't there. We didn't there. Let me try and shave this up a little bit, maybe like that, right? We don't have to go down all the way down there, but wouldn't be surprised if we did. And if we even went a little bit lower, that's okay. 1 hour, 19 minutes left. I would think that between now and the end of the day, we do start to move up, yeah. Stochastics look a little bit bearish. MACD, momentarily bearish, but overall bullish. I don't think this move is over, right? That's the main concept that I'm seeing here, is that this move that started back on the 1st of September, I don't think it's over until we at least see 117.5K or 120, 121K, something in that area, right? That's a little bit higher, and then we might correct for a few days or a week or something like that, and it won't be a massive correction. It'll just be a modest correction, maybe back down to like 114, 113K, and then we continue to rally. That'd be my thoughts. Maybe we come back and find support right here at this prior area of resistance right here, something like that. After, probably on the 17th or after the 17th, we'd begin to move down. And again, that's in relation to the FOMC meeting, the Fed cutting rates, interest rates. If we're looking at this on a daily time frame, stochastics are bullish. MACD looks like it wants to be bullish. We're getting that potential cross above the daily, the 0 time frame here, the daily time frame 0 line. And if we keep moving up over the coming days, I think we'll get that. So that's kind of encouraging. You know, the last time that we did that, we crossed here. As soon as we crossed, that's when we consolidated. We actually consolidated with higher lows and higher highs, and then we continued to rally. So we could consolidate. We could consolidate, and the MACD still runs higher, and then the price starts to run higher as well, right? It's once these lines interacted with each other, once they like touched tips or even had a slight cross, that was whenever we started to make our moves higher. So keep that in mind whenever we go forward, okay? You get some separation, it'll come back down. Once it's cooled off, boom, then we go up higher. Stochastics coming down, touching the overbought zone, boom, that's when we moved higher. RSI giving us lower lows, getting right out of the overbought zone, lower lows with higher lows, it's hidden bullish divergence, boom. That's when we moved higher. Look for those same kind of signals here, probably. I would expect that the daily RSI makes it into the overbought zone. I would expect that the stochastics stay in the overbought zone and the MACD continues to cross above the 0 until we find our high, which is going to be somewhere, and I say high, it's just a momentary high. It's not like the top, it's just a momentary high, like this was a momentary high, or that was a momentary high, right? Or this one even was a momentary high. We're going to find a momentary high probably over the coming days and then correct down a little bit. From a weekly standpoint, the stochastics look very bullish, bouncing off the 50 here. The RSI looks very bullish, bouncing off the 50. And the MACD even looks very, very bullish. Even though you're crossed down, I would say it's very, very bullish overall. So I'd very much expect that over the coming weeks, over the coming months, we do have higher prices to go. If we take this rather significant pivot here from a high to a low, if we take our most significant pivot of this cycle, which is the prior cycle high to the bear market low, you know, we could see that the 2272 of this level here lines up very well with the 1618, which I think would be the next target. If I delete this fib here, I don't think our next target is the 1414. And if we're not stopping here, and maybe momentarily, but if we're not stopping here, where are we stopping? We're going all the way up to 173K. If we're going to 173K, this more relative fib, more relevant fib is suggesting that we'd more likely stop at about 178K or higher. Typically with the 2272, typically with the 1618, Bitcoin does wick just above there. So I could very well see us being at 180K by the end of this next endeavor, which could be by the end of October, if not at a later date. But I really do think that by the end of October, if not sometime in November, we will be up at this 180K level. I don't have anything else that I want to say. I think I've said it all. So if you guys like the video, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Let's look at the ribbon real quick. Let's check back in on this because I think that this actually was looking good, right? I mean, that's a perfect reaction on a weekly basis. That's literally ideal. It's completely perfect. understand. And this goes back to something I was saying earlier. I made a video talking about how the bull market finale begins. I think that was the title, something like that. It begins here, begins now. We were showing how there are a bunch of signals across the board in the charts that Bitcoin is showing more strength now than it has throughout the whole cycle. Okay, when it comes to this consolidation phase, normally in moments like this, we'd be consolidating for months. Here, we're showing strength where normally we'd be continuing to consolidate. Right? You can see it in the ribbon too. When we consolidated here, we went into the ribbon, we went below the ribbon to find support. When we consolidated here, we went into the ribbon, we went below the ribbon to find support. Same thing here. Here, we didn't go into the ribbon, we rejected it immediately. We rejected it. And also, I mean, that looks phenomenal. Also on the daily time frame, we're looking like we want to cross this ribbon back to the upside after crossing it to the downside. Again, running with the idea that once we get this cross, probably in a couple days, maybe on the 17th, that might be a cause to move back to the ribbon to find support. Just like whenever we crossed it to the bearish effect here, that was our low. We moved back up to the ribbon to find resistance, but we actually broke through it instead. Typically, that's kind of what happens, is that once you get the cross, you pull back into it. Let's see. Here you crossed. You didn't pull back into it, to be completely fair, but once you got near it enough, that's actually whenever you started moving up higher. But to be fair, that's kind of a bad example, isn't it? Here you crossed, and what did you do from this low? You pulled back into it, found resistance, and then you went lower. We go back in time. Here you crossed. You didn't pull back into it immediately, but inevitably you did pull back into it. Here you crossed, and you immediately pulled back into it, found support momentarily, and then continued to go down, right? Here you crossed to the downside. That was actually one day before your low, and then you crossed all the way back up here. It's just typical that once you get the cross, that's actually whenever you pull back. So that very well lines up with the idea that we will probably pull back to prices below or around 114K after we top off here momentarily. But again, the weekly ribbon just showing how much strength Bitcoin has compared to any other consolidation phase in this cycle. We look at and that's very much to be expected because we're in the finale phase. Things are going to be stronger. We look at the MACD as well. I think this is the longest, or this will be the shortest amount of time that we've crossed red on the weekly MACD, and that we didn't see a multi-month consolidation phase. This will be the shortest amount of time that we've seen a red look on the weekly MACD. Time will tell. We'll see how it goes. But typically, when we cross red, it promotes stagnation for months, right? I don't think we're going to get that here. Just another sign that we're going to see some bullishness. The RSI isn't going to the same levels that it's gone every time to find support. We're actually finding support at a higher level, showing more strength. Same thing with the stochastics, right? And then everything else that we've talked about. So I really think that this is just the beginning of greatness to come. I would not be surprised at all if by the end of the day we close higher than we are here now. Maybe we go a little bit lower at first, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if we close higher than we are now. We might even close today green, and then going into the rest of this week, we should be on our merry way to the upside, probably start to consolidate a little bit on the 17th, 18th, 19th, and then maybe we start to move up after that, or at the most like a week of consolidation. But I'm talking so much, I'm going to end the video there. Hit the like button, subscribe. I think I've given all the scenarios, other than the bearish, like the truly bearish scenarios, but those are taking a back seat because we're definitely bullish on Bitcoin right now. So genuinely, that's all I got for realsies this time. Hit the like button. I'll see you on the next one, okay? Take care of yourselves. Happy Sunday, everybody. Bye-bye.